Hey everyone, I'm Mark,
And I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks. Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 49 of the podcast. As usual, we're going to continue going on, so without further ado, let's move on, Alex. So where we left off was Mihen High Road, little travel agency, right? We actually just talked about kind of how you can recruit ROP, which we highly recommend doing so.
Yep.
Hopefully you got both level 1 key spheres up to this point, the other primers and all that, and then essentially where we're at was that person did come in, said Chocobos. We already knew there was a fiend about, so this is kind of like, yep.
No, and this is that part. So they all go outside the travel agency,
Yep.
and there's that really weird scene with Lulu and Titus where it's like to the Chocobo Corral, and then Titus does his like, all right, let's do it, motion.
Yeah, his little
And Lulu-
like fist pump.
Yeah,
And I like that how they're like to the Chocobo Corral. They turn around, they walk 2 steps. Okay, we're here, Lulu. Now what? It's,
I
it's
know.
right there,
But-
lady.
But also, Lulu does kind of like this weird sort of like I don't know kind of movement thing where she like puts her hands out like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Or something.
Why are you so excited, kid? It's the right thing to do. All right. Well, you do get a pretty cool little glimpse at Chocobos come running through. There's like a stampede, and then you got this giant thing on top of the red travel agency. Has a Chocobo in its hand. Dude, this thing looks nuts, man. I mean, I don't even
Yeah,
know
I
how
know.
to describe it. Its arms are coming out of
Yeah.
its head. It looks like a person that I drew when I was 3 years old, essentially. And
It's yeah.
it's got
It's
like
it
the
has no
forked
neck.
twin tongue thing. Yeah, no neck.
Yeah, pretty much. And these huge long arms, like you were saying. Plus, I think he's got like a chocobo feather in his mouth or something,
Yeah,
in his tooth.
Yep. So we got the Chocobo Eater here, and this battle is pretty interesting. Honestly, if you didn't have a guide and you're just playing through the first time, man, I don't know how you would know this battle was really any different than others until you kind of started getting into it. But there are 2 methods. Well, ideally 2 methods. We'll get into that to a second, but there are 3 possible outcomes from this. If you're familiar, obviously you know, I mean, the Chocobo Eater has this thing where you can actually like kind of push it back. It can push you back. And so you're stuck between this battle of pushing and shoving, because that's what you do with fiends. Get out of here, man. Pushing them back. Yeah. I mean, that's just kind of a funny thing to think about, but
Yeah.
and so one of those, either you can get pushed off, you can push it off, or you can just kill it flat out. So there's the
Right,
3 different
right.
ones. What do you ideally try to go for?
Ultimately, you're trying to push it off the cliff because it gives you the best rewards for it. You get 2 level 1 key spheres if you can do that. But
Yes.
it is tough. I mean, just to kind of break it down. So this guy has 10,000 HP. He's armored. He's weak to fire. He's got some pretty nasty attacks. But also the thing that I kind of find with this, I mean, I'm sure, you've experienced this too, Mark, but it's actually really hard to push him off the cliff because his HP becomes a factor. Like, you have to deal over 1,200 damage to basically knock it over on its back. And then it's this thing of another 500 damage to move it back. So it takes 1,700, and if he's pushing you back, it's hard to do it without killing him.
Yeah, and you do need to push a total of 3 times, and that's just from the middle. So if he doesn't push you back at all, you do need to push him a total of 3 times. That right there is 5,100 damage minimum, right? And so
Yeah, exactly.
that's where, like you said, I think I've only actually pushed him off like a couple of times in all my playthroughs because generally, I end up killing him. I think I have been pushed off like maybe once. I don't, it's happened. Some things with this though is he can be slowed and blinded, so I mean that just makes it a lot easier to kind of deal with because the problem with this is dealing the 1,200 damage and then you do have a little bit of time, so it's not like you have to immediately do the 500 damage on most of most of the times. Man, like even you do that damage, you gotta line things up. It's pretty tough to do, and like just taking the turns to heal and do stuff like that. That makes it grueling.
Yeah, and a couple of things I will say. So I remember doing this battle not too long ago, and I can confidently say he has to be slowed because my strategy in this whole thing was basically, I got everybody a turn. Then I just did armor break, or not armor break, power break with Ornn, which also works really well.
Yep.
And then, cheer times 5, which they were hitting pretty hard after that. Cheer times 5 adds quite a bit to their strength. But even still, basically what happened was I got to the very last push, and it just so happened that every single time I was able to knock him back,
Sure.
he would get an instant turn right after and basically push me back. So I
Yep.
ended up just killing him. So I would say you have to slow him, to be honest.
Yeah, and the blind note you have is the pushback will still be 100% no matter what. That's just a
Right.
mechanic, not necessarily ability. So, that's an unfortunate thing. But what it will help with, I believe, is, man, this ability. So one of his abilities, Fist of Fury, which, cool ability in itself that a Chocobo Eater has an ability called Fist of Fury. But
Yeah.
he'll point at one of the characters. And honestly, it's more kind of like a slot, because even if you swap that character out, he'll just still attack that same spot anyways. So he'll kind of just point to a character position, whatever one, and then his next attack is he's gonna go Fist of Fury wild on that person, right? And I mean, I don't think I've ever survived it. It's pretty much a one-hit KO unless your guy just has like crazy amounts of health or something.
Yeah, it does quite a bit of damage. And then when he gets knocked over too, he's not completely defenseless. I think he sits there and just uses Blizzard on the party and things like that. So kind of an annoying boss. Your rewards in this battle totally depend on what happens, i.e., what we talked about, whether you push him off, that's the ultimate prize, I guess, of 2 level 1 key spheres.
Yep.
But honestly, not really that crazy worth it. You already have 2 at this point, and it's not like there's that many high value level 1 key locks. So
yeah, that's what the kind of the ones that are natural in their lines are, like I think Yuna's first one is you can get her like 8 extra strength and health or something. It's kind of something silly, but yeah, unless you're just going around with Kamari to try to get on the other tracks, 2 is probably enough at this point, right? I mean, that's enough to get through Riku's, and she has 2 blocking hers, and that's kind of the most locked one, so to speak. But regardless, if you do want to go for that and push him off, just because it is pretty cool, you get this cool little like almost Looney Tunes scene where he's like floating in air and looks down. I was like, oh crap!
It's like an exclamation mark. I think that kind of pops up next to it.
It's pretty hilarious. So if you do want to get that, just a final note on it is on that last push. So when he's all the way up to the ledge, just like Alex alluded to, that he was having a tough time lining up, you're having a tough time lining up your turns, was his first attack right after that will always be to push you back, the whole party.
Yeah.
So that last one has to be timed, where boom, you get him on his back, instantly hit him after that. Otherwise, he'll get up, push it back, and then at that point, you really are gonna like start to just kill him. But on that note, it is possible to use potions on him too, or heal. So you could always just use an X potion on him if you didn't want, if you really, really wanted those level 2s or the level 1 key spheres.
Yeah, that's a good point. And as far as I know, this has never happened to me, but if your team gets pushed off, you get nothing.
Yeah,
like, I don't even think you get experience or anything, and you get a scene where they're just like at the bottom of the gorge or something like that.
Yeah. Well, and for me, I didn't make it a point to get this because, man, Kamari, I had to get those level 1. So I got 4 now. I think I've already used 1. But regardless, when you do whatever, however this ends, you're either going to be at the very bottom and pretty much you just continue on. You're going to have to come all the way back to this point, the travel agency, to get a Chocobo and stuff. But if you do win, either by killing them or pushing off, you will get a free Chocobo ride. So, usually you got to pay just, I don't know, like what, a couple hundred gil or something, but it's free for right now.
Yeah.
And now you're able to kind of move around and, continue on, so to speak. I generally always will go ahead and just take the Chocobo ride because I know there's treasures coming up. But, I mean, I guess you could always walk through it and come back at any time, but you will want to at least get these treasures.
Yeah, well, that and so while you're on a Chocobo, no encounters, so this is pretty much the first time you get that, and you get to go a lot faster. So plus you get the awesome theme song, right?
You do.
This game has a pretty good one.
And this would actually be a pretty good opportunity also if you maybe just skipped a lot of the treasures from people or treasure chests. You can always go back in me and High Road also. But if you do go forward, it's very short, this next screen. The one thing you'll just want to be looking for are their little tiny chocobo feathers on the ground, right? They kind of stick out, and so they'll just be like a little yellow line on the ground. And so on the chocobo, go up to it, hit the action button, and the chocobo will do a little thingy, and you'll get some pretty cool treasures.
I mean, there's some pretty good stuff here. You got a heat lance for Kamari. I got to be honest, probably never use that. Thunderblade for Orin. Again, could be useful in some upcoming bosses and things like that. Scout for Waka, which is, I think it's maybe Ice Strike plus Sensor. But really the best thing on here, honestly, Fortune Sphere.
Yes.
And this is in an area kind of down in the gorge, so you get there a little later, but Fortune Spheres are extremely rare. And so that's an awesome find.
And we've had that luck sphere also for quite a while now.
Right.
Now you do have that fortune sphere, so now you just gotta decide, who do I want to give it to?
I would say it's whoever you plan on taking end game. That might be kind of hard, obviously first time playthrough, you're not gonna know, so just give it to anybody who does physical attacks. But for me, I like to give it to Orin or Waka or Titus or one of those three. Then they'll get more criticals, and like I said, you're only going to have a few fortune spheres through pretty much the game until you get to the end. So
and then also on that first screen, so when you go by, there'll also be Shalinda and Machin or whatever, I call them Gramps. So they'll be there. But before you get to them, and this one's actually pretty hard. It's very easy to pass. I even passed it after writing this down. I even passed it on my game.
Yeah, I miss this one every single time. It's Albed Primer 9. It's just kind of sort of blends in with the beige.
It always does, man.
But you can see it like right past the S curve, just before Shalinda and Gramps.
Yep, it's just sitting on the ground. So definitely pick that up. So we've already got 9 to this point. It's going pretty quick. Just some other things is you do have a couple. Well, I think you just have one treasure chest that's at the next screen at the gate. It has 2 high potions. As we alluded to, you'll go through this first screen. There'll be a gate. You can do things here, and that's how we progress. But if you were just on the chocobo, you probably just hung a right, went back down into the gorge. That's where a lot of these other treasures, or the for instance, Fortune Sphere is. There's some other things. So if you have been fighting battles, one of the kind of new themes of this area, and there was, I think, one other from the other ones that we actually talked about that hasn't shown up until now, but it's the Hyperia, which is just like one of those fast lizards, and the only thing with him is can cause petrify and hit, and was doing that to Yuna all the time in my game, dude. I was like, come on, man, I only got like 3 softs.
No, seriously, this is one of the things. So, while you're playing this game, and veterans know this, like basically all of these enemies or these enemy types start to get these status effects, and it gets worse with each like later version of them. So from here on out, the lizards are gonna have sort of like a stone touch ability, and it is really annoying because once you get to the later versions, it's pretty much like 70% or something, it seems like. So
that's a kind of new fiend one. The other one was like that Volvir or whatever lizard guy, the armored one.
Oh yeah,
that shows up here. Also, just on the note of battles, things will start to get a little more challenging. Like for instance, a very common battle is like 2 dual horns and a bomb. And so if you haven't been doing too many fights up to this, man, this will actually be a little challenging. If you've been doing every fight, it probably won't be because you've leveled up now at this point. Just thought I'd touch on that. So if you do continue that path, though, you'll find like Lucille and Elma, some other Chocobo Knights that are like, I don't know, they're having fun jumping around ruins or something. Like I used to play out in fields too myself, or we did, both did. So whatever, they're just having some fun time climbing on ruins. They're just knights, no big deal. Thanks for got an operation going on down the road. Thanks guys, thanks for handling it. We're hard at work, aren't we? Spears tax dollars going.
It's like their obstacle course.
yeah, there you go. We'll just say that they're training. They're training for obstacle course. If you do continue down though even further, you got Owaka, and why he's down here I don't know, but he is down here. This is actually the last opportunity that you will have to be able to donate money to him to get that reduction. By now, I would say that 10,001 gil probably isn't that hard to come by, especially if you're doing battles. Probably sell some of the drops you've been getting from equipment that you're definitely not going to use. So, I mean, I easily got there and still had some left over. So, I don't know. I mean, that's just my thing. But he is here, and this is the last opportunity.
Yeah, I usually do. This time around, I didn't even bother. And that's the thing kind of we were saying from the beginning is you either go all in or don't bother with a Waka,
Yeah.
honestly, because if you end up at like 7,500 gil or something, you still end up with a, I think even a price increase or something ridiculous or a very low reduction. It's just not worth it. So basically,
Yeah.
you either give them the 10,001, because that's a 30% reduction for the rest of the game. So it's pretty good.
And I guess if you just have it, why not? There is something else that you might want to invest in here in a moment. So, if you want to save your money, go for it. If you go even further down, so you would have actually been here. If you got pushed off, you're unlucky enough, you would have been like, oh, look, a treasure. So, you would have gotten that already. But if you go all the way to the end, you do have Mars Crest in there. So you get Orange Crest here. So, just kind of slowly picking these up. Obviously, we'll go over what these are for later. Only thing left to do is to pretty much go forward. So go to the gate. You got some people you can talk to here. Clasco's on his Chocobo. Donna's over there. It's just, I like to talk to people. It's pretty funny, man. Donna is not happy, though.
Yeah, seriously, this is such a funny scene. They're trying to get through security, basically, like, they're blocking the gate. And she's like, you dare impede a summoner's pilgrimage? He just stands there the whole time. Sorry, ma'am. No exceptions.
Yeah, it's like, no, what didn't you understand about no exceptions? No.
Yeah, he's not playing.
Donna is not happy. So they just run off. It is pretty funny. If you do talk to Clasco, because I did, I was like, I don't think I've ever talked to Clasco here. Which, by the way, you still only know Clasco is Clasco by named, like when it's speaking. He never has ever actually introduced himself yet. It's like, come on, man. But so I just comment there. But it's pretty funny because he's just like, I wonder where Lucille and Elma are, and it's like, dude, they're right down the road resting, man. They didn't tell you. Like they popped open some Mike's Hard Lemonades, man. They are beach lounging it, and they're just like, should we tell Clasco? Albert Turner's like, nah.
Oh man, they're probably like, hey Clasco, why don't you go, guard down the road somewhere?
Yeah, why don't
away
you
from
go
here.
there or something? Oh man.
Yeah, and then basically, if you go up to the gate, basically you get the scene with that cart, or not the cart, but like the wagon that Lucy and Gata were kind of escorting down the high road earlier on. Basically, it's all part of the the Operation Mihan, and so they let him through, and you can kind of see what's inside. It's like looks like a millipede or something.
Dude, it
like
really
that,
does. Yeah.
It's weird.
It's some
really
bug
sure.
thing, and you don't really we still don't really know. You might be able to start to kind of piece it together just based on everything we know about Spira so far, but they move on their way. It will just place you right there, and if you try to go forward, you can't, but there's another dude off to the side, and now you have a decision. You can either, you'll talk to him, and he'll be like, hey, you want to give to the cause, essentially, and you can either donate 100 gil, 1,000 gil, or 10,000 gil. Why they didn't have a 100,000 gil option, I don't know why, but they should have. It's like, come on, man, what are we going to... We can't do anything in between this. Like, we got we got to go to that.
Yeah, imagine if they did that. This would be insane if they did like 100,000 with auto shell or something like that.
Warp
That'd be
sphere.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Teleport sphere.
Dude, you'll be
or
sitting
something
there
like that.
grinding those. Oh my gosh, not worth it.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Yeah.
if you do give 100 gil, if you're just like, here you go, here's some pennies, well, you're not going to get anything back. You're going to get a scout. Not great at all. 1,000 gil, though, gives you an ice lance, which,
Yeah.
I mean, just kind of like you said with the firebrand or, whatever spear, it's like, I'm not a huge fan of the elemental types, only in rare
It's just
situations.
not really that worth it.
Yeah, I mean,
they're honestly just not that worth it to me. Like once you get the Hunter's Lance, that's all you need, which is just sensor piercing or strength plus 10. That's the one I always stick with.
Exactly.
These ones I've gotten them and I just never use them because it's like
It's so
Why?
situational. I mean, because it's like
Yeah.
on some enemies it will do extra damage, but like you said, I'd rather have hunters where I got a flat strength increase all the time, so all of my
All the
attacks
time,
are
yeah.
doing more. And I'd rather
Yeah.
have that than just on the few. And obviously you can set it up, and if you're having a tough time with some enemies, obviously that. But yeah, no, I agree. But do you usually try to go for the moon ring at 10,000 gil?
not at all these days because that's crazy. But I remember one time I did, I think before I knew what it actually was. And I mean, I'll just tell you guys, like, it's SOS Protect and SOS Shell for Yuna. And I don't know about you, man, but like again, it's very situational. There are some situations in which the SOS abilities will really save you, but I mean, they have to be in critical for it to be in effect. It's
Yeah.
just kind of
And,
the chance of
and
them
it's only
dying when they're
protect and shell anyways.
exactly, and if they die, then it doesn't matter anyway. So it's just I just never really found that much use for them.
Yeah. No, I agree. I would say the only cool thing, I guess, about the Moonring at this point is that you probably don't have Protect or Shell yet. It's gonna probably be really close and soon, but like I'm not there on mine. I've definitely been trying to do a little bit more battles than usual. And so I mean I guess that's the only thing is that you can get Protect and Shell before you actually may be able to use it yourself, but it's kinda like
Yeah, I think it's actually quite a ways off. I mean, I don't know, it takes forever to get Protect, but yeah, like you're saying, even still, unless you're doing some sort of challenge run, maybe a no sphere grid.
yeah.
But even then, it's like, okay, how are you going to come up with 10,000 gills? So,
Yeah, well, especially if you just donate it to a Waka.
yeah.
Or you can just not donate at all. I mean, you don't have to do this. So if you do want to move forward, the Crusader stops you though and is like, sorry, you know, no exceptions. And at this point, you can still walk around freely, but if you want to progress the game, you're gonna have to back out. And so you're gonna go backtrack. Here we go. We got Seymour, man. He's coming on up. I'm laughing at the note that I put in with Monkey Men because I honestly don't know how else to describe them. These two dudes are walking, and we haven't seen what the species is yet. For the most part, maybe some of them were at Spear. I don't know, but you see them, and dude. Okay, super long arms. Not only that, but their hands are like, you know, incredibly long. Their fingers are long. They're like down to their ankles, man. It's like, goodness gracious, how do you perform life like that? Having like your arms are like twice the length of like normal human arms. Like, oh, I'm just gonna reach for my drink way over there. Okay, I got it.
Yeah. Well, this is why they have such great block and blitzball.
Yeah,
Right? They
that's
got
true.
huge hands and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, seriously, they're kind of weird, and you're right. Like, we haven't seen a whole lot of the Guado, but they also have this kind of crazy, like, spiky hair.
Yeah,
Sort of like sweats back, spiky hair, and then just
spiky-haired freak. All right, so
Yeah.
so they come on up though, and you know Seymour's like, "Oh, what's up, guys?" Asks if there's anything he can do for Yuna, and Yuna kind of looks at the gate. And he's like, "Oh, I see, I gotcha." So he goes up and basically gets him by, says he'll assume responsibility and stuff. And Yuna's very respectful. She bows and thanks. Everyone's like, Yuna? She's like, oh.
And I love the part when Seymour goes over there, and it's like, "Hold, I have a request." You know, it's just really funny the way his voice actor is really kind of like that, sort of like quiet psychopath.
So you can go through the gate though, because there's nothing else to do. You got it open, and you'll kind of just get some more story with Seymour. He's like encouraging Crusaders to victory and all that kind of stuff. But man, here we go. Waka is, dude, he is not happy about this. He's like, why is Lord Seymour back in the Crusaders, eh? Using Forbidden Machina. And Lou's like, I can only speculate.
Forbidden Machina. Yeah, exactly. I love.
It's like, wait, nice cop out, lady. Like, come on.
Yeah, she doesn't want to say anything about it. Oh, I just love the whole thing with Waka and the Machina. They're using the Forbidden Machina. Seymour comes over. The first thing that happens is he sees Orin, and he kind of has like a little talk with Orin where it's like, "Oh, Sir Orin, you know, what have you been doing for 10 years?" And Orin's just classic, is like, "I got nothing to say about it," just walks away.
Off, and they're like, oh, I see. It's like,
Yeah.
It's like, okay, man. Nice to see you too. It's only been 10 years, buddy. Okay. But yeah, so here we go though. Waka's got his chance to actually confront Lord Seymour himself. After the whole Orin thing, you know, Waka, he puts on his big boy pants. Why is your lordship present here, sir? Like, yeah, okay, buddy. Yes, way to come off as a complete weirdo.
Yeah. Presently present here.
He's like, get away from me, peasant.
Yeah. Seymour's just like, please, talk as you normally would. And it's basically just says, you know, it's like, why are you supporting the Crusaders? They're using the Forbidden Machina. Shouldn't you be stopping them?
Yeah, it's like, I should. But here's the interesting thing that unfortunately did not sink into Waka. I think it did sink in to Yuna big time. basically Seymour's is saying like, hey, look though, their intent is pure in this and wanting to kill Sin, and they are banding together to do so. So he's kind of like, in that essence, I'm kind of encouraging them on, because don't we all want to see Sin defeated? And that's kind of the whole point here with this whole operation, right? And so it is pretty funny though, because you're like, but they're using Forbidden Machina. Classy's like, pretend you didn't see them. Like, oh, excuse me, that's not something a maester should say. Yes, because you clearly know what maester should say, man. You couldn't even put together a sentence that said, why is your lordship presently present here, sir? Couldn't even say that, but...
I mean, how many maesters has he actually been around?
No, that's true.
Right? I mean, I'm pretty sure the first time we saw him was Luca.
That is true, so, you know, he's a little star dazed. I never liked that Seymour guy the moment I saw him. You know, that's, of course, Titus. It's like, dude, come on. He is honestly, everything that's happened up to this point, other than just, like, staring down Yuna big time, like, he hasn't really done anything to, like, make anyone dislike him. Like, you know, why is Titus, why is he so jelly, man?
It's the costume, man. You know, it's what Seymour, basically, he's dressed to impress.
It's him letting his manly chest out of those robes all the time.
Seriously. No, but the other cool thing about what Titus says there, you know, when he's like, some of the things he said made a lot of sense to me. That's a good point, because I think there is kind of that side of he's making sense. I mean, yeah, he's a maester, and yeah, he shouldn't technically be supporting them, things like that. But like you said, you know, unifying behind a cause. I don't know. It's just kind of interesting.
Yeah. Titus got it. It's sinking in for some of them, and not Waka. We'll get more Waka here in a bit. Now at this point, you are able to walk around. We are at Mushroom Rock is kind of the initial area. As usual, talk to everyone you can, anyone you find. You'll get various items. You get an ether, 2 Phoenix Downs, a high potion, and a tough bangle. Where do you get that tough bangle?
Oh yeah, that's a tough one, because no pun intended, but that one is actually like it's a random guard. You have to go all the way to the back and almost leave the area, to be honest, and they're kind of standing off to the left or something. But this is a really good piece of equipment for Lulu. It's HP plus 20%. And an extra slot.
That's big. I mean, because, man, she is still super low. Man, she's at 700 health. Meanwhile, everyone else is, you know, like 1,200, 13.
Yeah. It puts her up to like nearly, you know, 800 or 900.
Yeah, that is really good. Classico is also in this area. You'll actually just encounter him as you go forward, basically just saying that Yuna's presence is requested at the whole command center, little operation they got going on here. You are not allowed to like go on the path behind Classico. If you just go to basically straight forward, it's closed down. And how cool would it have been, though, if we could have gone up there now already? You don't have to think about that. It's like, oh, let's just go get a weapon. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. Or just skip this whole section.
Yeah.
Because this area drags on, and there are a lot of encounters, and it can get really, really annoying. But before we even get to that, we got a Waka standing right here, and I guess this is the first time you actually get to reap the rewards of loaning him all that money. Although he doesn't really have anything that great, right? Yeah,
he doesn't really have anything too different right now, but he does talk about how he's like price gouging the Crusaders. Like he just moved in, and you know, he's like the only item, I guess, shop. So he's like, hey, you know, I'm bumping all my prices up. He's like, but for you, never. You know, it's like, okay, good, man, because I did just give you a 10,001 gil, but you know,
sly salesman.
So he is here, but I know, well, that's the thing, you know, he didn't have his seed money, but apparently he is a good salesman. So, you know, we'll figure out what he's got in a little bit. There is a safe sphere here. If you just move forward, continue going, and I think it's once you actually get into like the Mushroom Rock giant area.
Yeah,
so
you go forward one screen.
Yeah. Once you get there, there is that save sphere, so go ahead, make sure you do that. You can talk to the lady on the way to what are like elevators. I mean, they are elevators in a sense. They're not an elevator you would ever think of, but it's kind of cool. But talk to her, you'll get a high potion, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then pretty much after that, you just go up a series of these sort of water-powered lifts or something like that. Obviously, they're just these big old pillars of rock that just carry you up and things. But there's also a whole bunch of enemies that you'll find in these random encounters out here. And these guys actually can be pretty tough. This is sort of the point in the game where things start getting a little bit more serious. I noticed that you start getting in a lot more back attack or whatever. So you get a lot more of those, and these guys hit really hard. So, I mean, right off the bat, you've got basically just an upgraded version of the what is it, like the dragon type, the one
Yeah, the one we
we were
just
talking
saw.
about
Yeah.
before. Yeah, exactly. So this one's called a Lamash 2 Armored Drake, weak to fire. You've got another upgraded version of the lizard type Raptor,
Yep.
weak to blizzard, can cause petrify silence.
You got some easy. I feel like they're always filler, man. Like the elements and flans, because they're just
Yeah,
so
definitely.
easy. You just take them
They
out in
are.
one hit usually. But the red element's here, so obviously you can figure Blizzard's gonna be the counter to that. And then there's the Thunder Flan, so weak to water. This enemy, this next one, man, I hate the Funguars, man. Those things, gosh, they're not like crazy difficult in ways of health. I think they only got something like 500 health, so it's pretty low. But when they use pollen, because they can just use pollen, or they like to counter physical attacks with pollen. But dude, this thing, I don't know if it like upgrades as the game goes on, but so I don't know if it does just always inflict all of these, but it has a chance to inflict sleep, poison, darkness, and silence to the whole party. I mean, that's just kind of insane, like at this level with the amount of items that you have and stuff like that, like you can counter all of these, but gosh, you're going to be going through, I mean, you're going to need a Suna essentially with Yuna if you got her, but you're still going to take care of silence first or something. But I just remember I got countless memories of gaming over because a Funguar got off pollen and it screwed everyone.
Yeah, and the real danger with pollen too, this is what's going to cause a game over, is if he manages to put you guys to sleep. Let's say there's another red element in there with him, and all red elements can do is fire magic, and of course magic doesn't wake you up. So him and Fungar will just sit there and cast fire on the whole team relentlessly.
Just kill you slowly.
And yeah, that's the danger with this one. I mean, sleep seems to hit, and it seems like, I'm not 100% sure on the counter rate, but I think it seems like about 50-50. And so you want to make sure, basically the thing with Fungar, if you can deal with it this way, is you need to try and one-shot it.
Yeah.
So Lulu with fire, sure, magic is high enough, is the best way to do that. It's highly unlikely Orin can one-shot him at this stage, so...
Another one, dude, this thing is, I just can't even. The Gandarwa?
Gandarwa.
Dude, okay. This, it's an imp, okay? I love the remastered versions because everything's so detailed now, and you can actually see it off my pixelated, TV, my tube TV from the back in the day. Now I can look it on my monitor, and it literally has a face at its crotch. It, like, in between its legs, it's sitting Indian style. There's like a head there. I don't understand it. It's the weirdest thing. I was like, oh, okay, well, cool, I guess.
Yeah. First time seeing this enemy type, I think, too, and this is a weird one. It's like, it is sort of like a flying Gandhi type of thing. It's weird because, like you said, it's in sort of like a,
it's kind of like a Chinese dragon head too. It looks like I don't know what it's just. It is pretty interesting, but it's weak to water, and honestly, that's how I had to kill it, dude. Kamari missed every single attack. Kamari could not hit these poor guys, man.
Exactly. That's the other thing I was going to say. These guys are basically the equivalent of the bees,
birds and stuff,
and like the bird type enemies that we've been fighting. So basically, this is the Waka enemy, the newer one.
Yes. The last one is none other than a Garuda again. We've been seeing these guys over and over. Nothing different. You just want to do darkness. It can, or you want to blind it, right? Mm-hmm. But it can also cause darkness now. I don't think that was up to this point, so I think that's like kind of the only new thing on the Garuda's end is that it can now inflict darkness on hit, but still super easy. Dark hit him and it's good to go. And honestly, man, I was actually getting very upset and frustrated in this area. I swear, dude, like 75% of my battles was just a Garuda. That was it. I fought it far more than anything else. And I was like, I want to fight some other enemies. I'm like, come on, I don't want to just fight Garudas all the time.
Yeah, it can get pretty annoying because I think he's got 4,000 HP. So it takes forever. You can power break him as well. It's another thing. And of course, at this stage with Titus, use haste and stuff like that. The only other benefit of fighting Garudas is they give a lot of experience, and they also give you ability spheres, which are probably hurting for at this stage. I know I am. At this stage in the game, like it seems like every character is picking up abilities left and right.
Yes.
And unless you've been fighting a whole bunch of dual horns, you're probably running low.
Or if you're just using 3 characters like me, you don't got to worry about it. So,
good point.
I was like,
that saves you the trouble.
Silver lining. Yeah, no, I mean you're right though, because this is the point where you do need to kind of almost pick and choose like what to get for now and maybe go back for later and stuff, because so it can be a dry spell for getting some of those ability spheres. And of course you do have in the remastered you got the distill abilities. So that is there.
One like extract ability with Waka's the one I might say you should probably get, but you don't have to get it.
I don't think I've ever used those. But anyways, that is all the enemies. Gotta just go forward. I mean, it's Final Fantasy, so you just gotta go forward. And so, you'll go through those like rock pillar elevator things and just continue on your way. As you go, there are kind of like multiple levels. We'll just kind of keep it that way. So there's the largest room you'll be in. We'll just call the lower level. Its treasures include 1,000 gil. It's in a chest. The first one you'll come to. There'll be a dude next to it. If you talk to him, you get 10 potions, which is at this point, it's kind of like, woohoo, potions, yay. That's 200 health, and I have 1,500, okay? Potions became very obsolete in this Final Fantasy.
Oh, yeah, really quickly as well.
There is also, just on this, if you continue, there's also a remedy and a high potion. So that's kind of the treasures on this first one.
Yeah, and then if you keep going down the road, I think on like the second or third corner, it's just basically like a series of S-curves, zigzagging back and forth. But you'll see Shalinda again. This woman just will not go away, man. I'm telling you, she's just always here. She's still trying to convince the Albed to stop using the Forbidden Machina. But, I mean, she pretty much already admitted that she failed. So at this stage, you can get a free heal out of her.
She said she's like just trying to help them now instead. It's like, wow, you really just went back on all your morals and beliefs really quickly, didn't you? First time you fail, just instantly, all right, well, I'll go ahead and help you. But it's forbidden. Anyways, Elma's also there. Lucille's there, and it just kind of relays that, hey, you're expected. And then Elma's there and is like, what are you doing here? It's like, okay, there's clearly a massive, chain of command communication area within these Chocobo Knights. Yeah, Klasko doesn't even know where his commander is. Elma, I'm right here. She's guarding a lift that doesn't even know who should be able to come through. Like this is we gotta get in here. We have a lot of work to do with this this force here. But
seriously,
there's a lift behind Elma. If you go ahead and take up, we're just gonna call this the upper level. This one has a couple of little tricks up its sleeve. Regular treasures that you'll easily be able to see either from people or from chest stuff, but you got an X potion, and 400 gil is going to be for the first 2 people.
One of them is really hard to catch. Like, they're constantly moving around. They go, basically have, a pattern. They walk a certain path back and forth. And I think it's the dude, the brown hat guy or the soldier kind of guy. But I always miss him. I think he's the one that gives you the X potion. Okay. So that's easily missable.
Easily missable. And then as these next 2 things, dude... I was going through this week, and I was like, I don't think I've ever been over here before. I was like, I don't think I have. So as you go on this upper, there's going to be 2 little kind of like outlets on the left side of the path on the map. And you'll probably see on the map before you'll actually see it, because I don't know how you would even know it was there without riding the wall. But if you do just kind of ride the left side, I think you get to the Serene Armlet first is what it is. So there'll be just a little path that winds around, and there's a Serene Armlet.
Or actually, so that's the primer.
Okay,
so the Serene Armlet, you take a left, and then there's an elevator that takes you down to this other little sort of platform down below, and you kind of go, and it's sort of hidden in the corner, but really, really nice. Actually, it's good status protection for Kamari. It's got something like Confuse Ward, Berserk Ward.
I think it's Confuse and Berserk, yes.
Yeah, so it's pretty nice. And then like you were saying, so the other one is around this little sort of loop-de-loop around a pillar.
Yeah.
And on the ground, you'll be wondering, what the heck is supposed to be over here? And again, it's one of these annoying Albed Primer. This one's 10. Sitting at the very end on the ground. Again, really, really hard to see.
It is. I don't remember getting this one. I'm sure I have at some point, but man... It is, well, and especially just in this area, you're kind of used to just blasting through on the main path, and so now all of a sudden you got 2 little kind of secrets, so do make sure to get those. If you continue on, though, you will have one more of the kind of pillar lifts. Take that up, and you have some side story. You don't have to do this, you can skip it, but along the way, talk to the Crusaders, as usually, talk to everyone. I mean, most people give you items, and so One will give you a
Yeah.
mega potion, so that's pretty sweet.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an awesome prize at this stage.
I mean, we got like 3 of those now, and so that's pretty cool. And then you'll see Gata, he's there, and if you follow him kind of all the way down the south section, this is kind of the little skippable content you can get, but it's pretty funny. Because Gata's going up and he's talking to Luzu's there, and he's just like, "But I want to fight, sir," you know, and he's like, he's saying that, and you know, Luzu's basically like, "Hey, you got your orders, I got mine, just go do it, man," you know, like go for it. But it's pretty funny, man, because Gata's like, dude, he clearly sucks at fighting. They put him on guard duty.
Well, I like this whole thing though, because then after that, it's like, I came all the way from Besaid to fight sin, sir. And it's just like, orders are orders. To your post, Crusader.
Yeah, get back there, man. Welcome. You're in the army
Here's
now.
what it is. Yes, there's a chain of command. That's how it's done. I mean, you can't, you join and he's upset about it, okay, but
could be worse,
we'll
man.
see
You
how
could
that
be
turns
named
out.
Classico, but
Nothing could be worse than that.
nothing could be worse. Well, you can't go ahead. I don't actually. I think you can move again after this. So if you do go and talk to Luzu, you'll get more. And this is actually kind of interesting. You get some backstory here. So the thing I don't understand here is Titus opening with Gata. He deserves better. Okay, man, hold on. You don't know this guy, all right? He could be horrible. He could be the worst fighter there, and it's like, no, you shouldn't be encouraging him, right? Not only that, you've talked to him like twice. He accused you of planning something, and now you know what Gata needs.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's not like God has been super nice, to him so far. I mean, you think about like up until I guess Kilika or something like that, maybe, but at the very beginning, especially, it was kind of a jerk. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why he cares so much.
Well, I think at this point, Waka is just kind of giving it to Luzu about the whole operation again, as usual. And Luzu wants to tell him something. And then Lulu's like, Luzu, no. Well, now he kind of has to tell us, so thanks, Lulu. I mean, he has to. But essentially, you learn that Luzu was the one that talked Chapu into enlisting.
Yeah.
Why
so
we're getting upset over grown men making decisions for themselves, even if they were given information to make that, I don't know. But, he ain't my brother.
Chapu. He used the machina weapon over the sword I gave him, or whatever.
We're getting to that in a second, yeah. But
jumping ahead.
Obviously, he doesn't like it. He punches Luzu, right? Luzu's like, Lulu hit me harder than you. Ooh, that was a slide, essentially. But so essentially, that's just kind of what it is Luzu just wanted him to know, like, hey, whatever happens with this, I just wanted to tell you that I was the reason why, he signed up.
Yeah.
And Waka wants him to come back alive so he can hit him lots more.
Yeah, I love that part. It's like Luzu, don't die out there.
So you can hit me?
You can hit me more? Lots more.
Like,
seriously.
All right, so that is the scenes, I believe. So at this point, only the thing to do is to go ahead, take a big lift, finally get an actual elevator here, and you'll take it up. You'll get some more scenes with some more of Waka just going crazy at it. So there's like cannons out there, right? And he goes up and he just kicks one, and then he holds his foot like, ouch. Wait, how did that hurt? It's like, dude, you kicked a cannon, man. How else would it hurt?
Yeah, he kicked him in flip-flops, pretty much.
Yeah,
he's like Birkenstocks or whatever the heck.
Yeah.
The other thing I love about this scene is, again, we talked about it, we'll talk about it a lot more, but the Machina are like stone, they look like, right? But it makes like a clang noise. It's like, dang.
It's metal stone, yes.
We're full on into the Waka and his hatred for the Machina, and goes against teachings and all that kind of stuff. And
Chapu, he chose a Machina weapon the day after he left. That's
right,
not why. It's like, well, it kind of is, dude. You hate it so much, you kicked a cannon. I mean,
blast these things.
Blast it out. And so you get to the next area, and I'm pretty sure he's still going on about it. Like, oh, it's not going to work anyways, kind of thing. And Yuna, I think, is finally like if Yuna's the one stepping up to say this, it's probably gone on way too far by now because it's Yuna that's doing it. But she finally puts him in his place, right? She's kind of same thing Seymour was getting at. It's like everyone wants the same thing. They're banding together. It's okay, man. It's okay. They're trying to kill Sin. Do you want to kill Sin? Can we use a couple of Forbidden Machina cannons to do it? Okay, well, okay, man. We're all cool here. You know, I mean, calm down.
Well, let's just see if if it works. That's the whole thing. So
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of agree with them on that, to be honest. Another kind of cool thing, so while you're walking around, so you've got the soundtrack here is really awesome too. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but it's sort of like, it's like a mission.
Yeah, it's like
briefing
battle preparation music is kind of like what it is.
It really just kind of sets the scene because it's very sort of foreboding, like something, like a big battle is going to happen and all that kind of stuff. But you can walk around, you can talk to a bunch of the soldiers. They're all just basically getting ready for the battle. You got people, practicing training, commanders talking to their troops and things like that.
It's pretty hysteric. Like that whole commander talking to his troops.
Yeah.
It's really funny because he talked to him and he gives a fired up speech, and then he talked to the soldiers like he's like, Commander said this like 4 or 5 times. Yeah, I think he's nervous. He's saying it because he thinks he's boosting his troops, and the troops are like, dude, you're losing it, man.
Yeah, and then on the other side, there's also a good one where it's like, a man basically training these two kids or something, and he's like, you got to hit harder than that to avenge your sister. So it kind of alludes to some other points. Pretty interesting.
So to recap, a little boy has made it to the battlefield. Gata is on guard duty. There is one other guy you can talk to. He's a Chocobo Knight. He's by the tent. And he actually has like 3 different options that if you just want to know, it's like, tell me about the operation, tell me about the Chocobo Knights, and there's a third one. Select all of them, but please make sure you do the Chocobo Knights. And it's hysterical because here we go. I know you guys are probably tired of hearing it already with us in Classico, but this is like, the Chocobo Knight dude is like, I can't believe that the wimp Classico made it, something like that. It's like, yes, he is a wimp. You find it. It's proof.
Yeah, it basically serves the role of an intern at this stage.
Go get his coffee.
Yeah, it is what it is. But then, aside from that, I think there's a Waka right outside, basically that area off to
it's right outside
the left
tent,
side or whatever. Yeah, pretty much if you just go over towards the save sphere.
Yep.
And this is like the first time that a Waka, and actually pretty much I would say the first time in the game, you've got some access to some seriously good weapons.
Yeah. And that's pretty much it. He does have some accessories, and it's not very good, and the items are pretty much the same, but these weapons are great, and so clearly he took his earnings, right, from ripping off all the Crusaders. I gotta ask you, man, I know this is video game logic, and we like to get really realistic with some silly aspects, but like, where did he procure these? Like, where did he get these? He's in the middle of Mushroom Rock, and he's got like rocks in his pockets when we meet him, and at the end of this path, which he definitely didn't pass us up, he somehow has these weapons. It's like, dude, what, did you just like steal them? He's like, a store pile.
Because how the heck, he's not doing any battles, so he's not getting him his battle drops or anything like that.
He ain't gonna find weapons like these off these dudes. Things. Yeah, he's over there just hammering on Waka 21st Blacksmith Extraordinaire. Regardless, he does have 3 good weapons. So you got the Avenger for Titus, right? And that has counterattack, which, I mean, gosh, dude, like at this level, that's insane. You got counterattack. I know it's Titus and it's him countering attacking, but still, like, that's. I guess I'm comparing it to other like Final Fantasies that use counterattack, and usually you don't get that till like the very end game,
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. I mean, I've definitely gotten that in the past. Can't say it was a life changer. What about you?
Honestly, I don't think I usually talk to a Waka for the first half of the game. Like I don't usually, and so I don't even know if I've actually even noticed that. This game, it didn't matter. I can't use any of these weapons for my characters, so I'll have to try that though. I will have to try that and get it. But yeah, what is the next one?
Yeah. Well, the next one, this is the one, honestly, this is a game changer right here. It's basically the TKO for Waka, comes with Stone Touch, and I believe it's something like 6,060 gil or something like that. But Stone Touch is really, really, really good. It's a 50% chance of inflicting Petrify.
Yeah.
And at this stage in the game, especially coming up here, you're going to have a whole bunch of enemies that have pretty much no resistance whatsoever. Definitely, if you're going to get anything, even if you haven't given a wok of money, I think I even got this. It was, a little bit more expensive, not a big deal. Get the TKO.
Yeah. Then the last one is Sentry, which is honestly it's pretty good. I mean, it's for Orin, right? And it's got an
Yeah.
initiative, which that's not a huge deal, but it is pretty cool.
Yeah, actually, initiative is what is it? It gives you like a higher chance of first strike and prevents back attacks. So it's not quite as good as first strike, but it's still pretty darn good. But kind of like what you were saying, the problem with it is, I mean, number one, it's a lot of money. This one I think is something like 10,000
Yeah.
or near that, which is crazy if you've given a Waka that much money. Personally, the TKO is far more worth it. But the other problem with it is, in my eyes, is that in order for initiative to work, just like first strike, they have to be in the front line
Yeah.
when the battle starts.
So gotta always rotate them in.
Yeah, and given Orin's low agility, I think he's got like 7 at this point, or it's abysmal. I don't know. It's good, I guess, for preventing the back attacks, but is it worth the money?
Well, I guess that's what you're looking
really.
at now is definitely the money. I'd say probably not. Just because, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously as we get on in the game, we'll talk about more about why you'd even need or want first strike initiative and stuff, but it's usually not on Orin that you'd want it on. But, like you alluded to, it most likely will always prevent back attacks, so that's kind of...
That's the best thing about it. I think.
Like you said, you always got to make sure he's in the party, though, in the front run-up. So if he's not after a battle, you got to go into your menu, you got to change your formation, put him back in, and so it's kind of just like,
Tedious.
yeah, we're not taking on in-game marbles here, so it's okay. We're you don't need to worry about that yet.
Yeah, seriously.
But that is where we're going to end. There's that save spear right by the tent. We're going to save it there, and we are not going to proceed into the Operation Mi'ihen because things get nuts. So
There's a lot to talk about coming up here.
Oh, yes. So we'd like to thank you for hanging out, listening to this episode. If you would like, you can stop by our website, Final Stop for FinalFantasyTalks.com. The usual stuff there, blog. We're still slowly working on that Blitzball. It'll hopefully be coming your way soon. You can also check out our Instagram. That's pretty much all we're at these days is just Instagram. So, we'll be posting pictures, our screenshots, all that kind of stuff as usual. We always like participation and comments as you guys like to give. So keep those flowing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're enjoying it, having a good time with it, and especially the Blitzball stuff, when we get around to that and start talking about the end game stuff, it's going to be good. So.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, thanks to you all again. I'm Mark.
And I'm Alex.
And this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks.